never missed a game that I was in. I don't know if I ever told him how glad I was for that.
Great. All right, folks, I think we'll get started here tonight. So I'm going to call to order the planning board meeting of February 6, 2024 here in the city of Summerside, it being 5:01 p.m. First, I'll call for a motion to approve the agenda as presented, and this is just a planning board. Moved by Councillor Duran, seconded by myself. All in favor of the planning board agenda as presented, please say aye. Aye. There being no nays, we will continue. We begin each meeting by acknowledging that the land upon which we gather is unceded Mi'kmaq territory. Abogway is covered by the historic treaties of peace and friendship. We pay our respects to the indigenous Mi'kmaq people who have occupied this island for over 12,000 years, past, present, and future. I'd now ask any member of planning board who has a conflict of interest with respect to any item on the agenda here this evening to let me know. Councillor Morrison.
Yes, I'd like to declare a conflict on number 5 on the agenda. I'd like to sit that one out.
Thank you, Councillor. No problem with that, and you'll retire to one of the wherever you go. I'm not exactly sure where you go. You go out there. A slow walk. Thanks, Councillor. At this point, I'll hand it over to Councillor Duran, Chair of Planning Board. Oh.
Thank you very much, Your Worship, and hello, everyone. Recommendation for this evening on 758 Water Street East. Application for official plan zoning amendment, discretionary use. The purpose of the official plan and zoning amendment is to allow a medical office in the proposed C3 zone. A medical office in the C3 zone requires a discretionary use subject to council's approval. Background: an application was received from Rattel Associates Limited for PID number 73684 to amend the city official plan from institutional land use to commercial land use, and the city zoning bylaw from institutional I zone to neighborhood commercial C3 zone. A discretionary use is also required to allow the medical office in the proposed C3 zone. The applicant intends to sell the property, and the potential buyer wishes to operate a medical office at this location. A public meeting was held on January 23rd, 2024, and council gave first reading on the same date. The property was zoned OS1 under the former community of Wilmot. The OS1 zone allowed a church, medical institution, and other uses as of right in the OS1 zone. Rattel & Associates have been utilizing the building as an office space. Prior to Rattel & Associates occupying this building, the building/property use was a church. Report: under section 5.7 of the zoning bylaw, when reviewing amendments, the following general criteria as applicable must be considered. Under section 8.4 of the Parks and Green Space Plan, the criteria of B, C, E, G, and H must be considered. A, conformity with all requirements of this bylaw. Staff comment: the proposed change of zoning will require a map amendment to the zoning bylaw, the zoning map. The proposed commercial use conforms to the C3 development standards. When commercial use is proposed in the C3 zone, the C2 standards apply. B, conformity with the official plan. Staff comment: the rezoning conforms to the official plan as per section 5.4.8. The official plan, future land use plan, would have to be amended. The proposed amendments have no impact on the Parks and Green Space Plan. In section 5.4.8, the neighborhood commercial areas. Neighborhood commercial areas provide convenient services to surrounding residents. It is desirable to zone all approved neighborhood commercial areas for neighborhood commercial uses, meaning that changes of land use may be subject to council discretion to ensure their compatibility with surrounding residential neighborhoods. Therefore, council's central concerns with neighborhood commercial areas are to promote a balance between providing convenient shopping while protecting residences from undue nuisances from commercial operations. Council's objective is to support neighborhood commercial areas, and the following are council's statements of policy. Number 1, manage all confirmed neighborhood commercial properties for neighborhood commercial uses, requiring council's discretionary approval of some changes in land use to ensure that they are compatible with the primarily residential use of the area. And policy number 2, only consider applications to zone commercial sites in residential neighborhoods for neighborhood commercial purposes. C, suitability of the site for the proposed development. Staff comment, this 0.50 acre site is suitable for neighborhood commercial land use. There is an existing building on site that has access to a public street, Hillside Avenue, and the building is connected to municipal services. The property has adequate parking on site for the proposed use. D, compatibility of the proposed development with surrounding land uses, including both existing and projected uses. Staff comment, the initial use will be 2 naturopath practitioners operating Tuesday to Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. In the future, the use may expand to 6 practitioners and hours of operation may extend to 8 p.m. The subject property abuts residential land uses. The land use from institutional to commercial would be compatible with the surrounding properties, subject to the policy set out in section 5.4.8 in the official plan. The property is located on the corner of a collector and local street. E, any comments from residents or other interested persons? Staff comment, a public meeting was held on January 23rd, 2024. The public meeting notice was advertised in the January 13th edition of The Guardian. 31 letters were mailed to 21 property owners. The applicant, Peter Rattel, provided an overview of the reasoning for rezoning the property and requesting the discretionary use. The development officer received an inquiry from Susan Power requesting the anticipated practitioner use. The email correspondence is included in this report. F, adequacy of existing water, sewer, road, stormwater, and electrical services, city parking and parklands for accommodating the development, and any projected infrastructure requirements. Staff comment, the city's water supply in the area is adequate for the zoning change and the sewage treatment plant can handle the additional loading. If new water and sewer infrastructure is required to be installed for the proposed land use, the new infrastructure would be at the developer's cost. The developer is not responsible for the zoning change increases in sewer loading as the proposed land use, neighborhood commercial C3, and current use, institutional I, have the same flow rates. The existing local street, Hillside Drive, will have enough capacity to accommodate the daily use for the proposed medical office traffic. The change in use from its current professional office, institutional I, use to the proposed medical office, neighborhood commercial C3, will add additional traffic to Hillside Drive on a daily basis. The parking area provides approximately 16 spaces for personnel and its clients, assuming 3 to 4 daily personnel and 12 client spaces at approximately 2 clients per hour for 7 hours per day. That is 168 for a total of approximately 1,720 vehicles per day to Hillside Drive traffic. Hillside Drive average traffic per day is 500 to 630, plus 168 vehicles per day additionally to new business, which works out to be 500 to 800 vehicles per day. Total capacity for a local street is approximately 10,000 vehicles per day. This new street volume would be approximately 800 out of 10,000 billion, which works out to be 8.02% of a local street capacity. And that is well within available capacity for the street. There is an existing parking area on the property with an existing ditched storm system along the east side of Hillside Drive and the north side of Wilden Avenue, which handles the drainage from this property. If the parking layout changes or additional parking is required, the development will require a site plan approval. The electrical service in the area will be adequate for the proposed medical office use. There are 16 parking spaces on site. Parkland dedication is not required, being as there is no major subdivision of lands. G, impacts from the development on pedestrian or vehicular access and safety and on public safety generally. Staff comment, there is an existing sidewalk for pedestrian access on the south side of Water Street East, which has a minimum of 1.5 meters or larger setback from the street edge as per Collector Street city standards, as well as a sidewalk on the east side of Hillside Avenue. The property access is on Hillside Avenue. The access meets the city standard distance of 15 meters or 50 feet from Water Street East and Hillside Avenue, which is a signalized intersection. Rock on. H, compatibility of the development with environmental, scenic, and heritage resources. Staff comment, there are no compatibility issues regarding environmental, scenic, or heritage resources. I, impacts on city finances and budgets. Staff comment, not applicable. J, other matters as specified in this bylaw, and there are none. And K, other matters as considered relevant. Staff comment, alterations to the existing building may be subject to a building permit. Staff review. City staff supports the application from Rattel Associates Limited to rezone from I to C3, subject to a discretionary use being approved by council. As per section 5.10, part B3 of the zoning bylaw, the planning board shall make a recommendation to council on this application before it is approved or denied. The planning board recommendation, whether carried or defeated, will be brought forward to council for a final decision. The planning board recommendation, the application received from Rattel Associates Limited for PID number 73684 to amend the city official plan from institutional land use to commercial land use, and the city zoning bylaw from institutional I zone to neighborhood commercial C3 zone, and a discretionary use for a medical office in the proposed C3 zone be recommended to be approved by council. It was moved by myself and seconded by Mayor Dan Kutcher. So if there are no questions, we will move right to the planning board vote. And yeah, there's the email there, but the email, it was answered. But should I remail the email anyway? There's an email that asks one specific question, which was answered in the report, so I could read the email in just. It's the email from Susan Power. Good morning, I hope you had a pleasant weekend. I live kitty corner to the above noted property, which is being rezoned to a neighborhood commercial C3 zone. I'm not able to attend the meeting on Wednesday, January 24th concerning this matter, so I would like to know what sort of medical office is the building going to be used for. And that was from Susan Power. So that was noted earlier, the practitioners and naturopathic services there. So again, if there's no questions, I guess there's just two members of planning board present here this evening, myself and Mayor Kutcher. Rick obviously excused himself, noting having a conflict of interest, and Deputy Mayor Snow is away, but according, I believe, to the Municipal Government Act, in order for this to be recommended to council, we don't necessarily need a majority of planning board to go forward. So with that, all members of planning board present in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that is passed, or recommended to go to council.
Thank you, Councillor Duran. And I think that's it for planning board tonight, so we will adjourn the planning board meeting. And we'll move into our committee of the whole meeting, which does not have a set start date, so we can continue as long as all of council is okay. If we can call Rick back. Yeah, I think there he is. Great, so I'll call to order the committee of the whole meeting for the city of Summerside City Council of February 6, 2024. I call for a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Councillor McColman, second Councillor Gallant. All in favor of the agenda as presented, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, we'll proceed with the agenda. Opportunity for any councillor to declare a conflict with respect to any item on the agenda this evening. Hearing none. I'll move into item 4, which is travel policy mileage rate, coming from the Finance Committee. This is an update. Finance Committee Chair McDougall.
Thank you, Your Worship, and this is basically an update. We will be moving this back to our Finance Committee for a review and recommendation, and I can go through it and outline the changes if you'd like. Everybody received a copy of it, I believe. So it's P-CS 12, or travel policy, and it's a policy of the City of Summerside to reimburse travel expenses to those employees, and we've added and elected officials who require to travel for municipal businesses. The words use their own vehicle was omitted. Specific objectives. 1.1 is to establish uniform rates and conditions of reimbursement to employees who incur expenses while traveling on municipal business, and to establish conditions for the appropriate extension of hospitality. 2, responsibilities. Do I have to read all of those if there's no changes in it? No, okay. So there was no changes in the responsibilities, but 2.4 was added, and it states that all travel must be pre-approved by the immediate supervisor. 3.1, private motor vehicles. This section applies to elected officials was added and employees. 3.1A, effective immediately, an elected official or employee. Elected official was added to the policy. And A1 is at the kilometer rate as per PEI Public Service Commission reimbursement rates, private motor vehicles. And B, it was based on changes to the PEI Public Service Commission reimbursement rates was added. And 3.2, accommodation was added and lodging was omitted. Just a change of language there. And then 4A, I'll read this through. An advance payment of out-of-province travel may be made to an elected or an employee, elected official or employee, prior to his or her departure from the province or city business, on city business. Such advance payments will be limited to an amount sufficient to defray estimated expenses up to the jury. And the following line here has been omitted, and it will be made available no more than 10 days prior to the date of departure. That has been taken out of the number 4. Number 5, 5B, purchase order shall be used for the purchase of airline tickets has been omitted. That's been taken out. And number 6, 6A, all claims by an employee for transportation, lodging, meal, and incidental allowances shall be on a form prescribed. The claims should be submitted within 10 working days of the end of the period covered. And this has been added and should be accompanied by pre-approved by the employee's immediate supervisor has been added. And that is all the changes. So I'm recommending that this be sent back to Finance Committee for a review and recommendation. If there's any questions on it, but we'll take it back to a future council meeting to approve. I need a seconder for that, right?
Do we need a second to send it back to Finance Committee?
Do you?
I don't think so.
I don't think so, no.
No, we don't,
Okay.
we normally we
Right,
just
right.
send things from here
Thanks.
as long as there's
Thanks.
no objections.
Yeah,
Go back to Finance Committee and then
Yeah.
come back to council for a vote on the policy with a recommendation or not from the committee.
right. Okay, thank you.
Cool, great. We move on to item 5, which is Junior Mayor and Youth Committee. I had 3 young gentlemen from Three Oaks into the office a couple of weeks ago, Campbell, Ethan, and Isaac. I only got their first names, I didn't write down their last names. And they indicated that they would like to establish a Summerside Youth Council, and provided me with a 1-page summary of what they'd like to do, followed by a 2nd-page summary of how they would like to structure a potential youth committee. I spoke to them. It's certainly something that I've considered and hope doing at some point. And I thought it would be a lot of value to have a youth committee here. A lot of municipalities have a youth committee involving high school students, and however they decide, I think, to structure it. So they were going to go away and talk about some structure options. I walked them through how these things tend to work. Suggested to them perhaps that they would want to, that we could consider forming an official committee under the city of Summerside, provide them with some guidance and support on how their committee meetings run, which is also a good lesson and value for them and young people in our community, and gives us as a council the opportunity to get input and advice and feedback on a variety of different issues from an age cohort that we honestly don't get a lot of input advice from that we probably should. So I want to just bring this forward to you, council. They only gave me like 3 copies of their outlines. What I'll do is I'll ask Sandra to copy it and send it around to you. But I just basically wanted to bring it here before looking to move forward to create a committee, just to get your feedback if people thought it was or was not a good idea. That's it. Okay, so I'll send that around and we'll see if they are able to carry it forward. Great. Item 6, the forested land project. I think this was on, we had a presentation at the last council meeting about this, and we said we would discuss it at our subsequent committee of the whole meeting. As I recall, there was no firm commitment or ask from the city except to be a partner in the potential project. No financial commitment or otherwise. Certainly after hearing it, it seemed reasonable and something that would fit well as we go through our official planning exercise. So I guess we're just looking to give staff direction as to whether or not we should indicate that we would be a partner municipality and see where the project goes. All right. Okay. Gordon, are you able to loop back with the presenter and let them know? Great. I was hoping we would have a record time for a meeting tonight. With that, we move into our in-camera discussion, which is item 7, and after that, we will adjourn. So I think, Brian, we turn off our camera.